Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.
Hey, good morning. I'm Dina Huff, the Executive Director for the Partnership for Families, Children, and Youth. I'm in a different area today because I'm at the Fish for Kids building. And for those of you who contributed, sponsored, played golf last week for the Fish for Kids golf tournament, I don't have the final number for that, but thank you all who participated, volunteered, continue to contribute to Fish for Kids. The kids, thank you. The parents, thank you. The volunteers at Fish, thank you for supporting our kids to feed our kids this summer. So I want to tell you a little more about that. Cindy couldn't be with me this morning, but I am talking in her place. So I want to tell you about how this whole operation works. Summer Hill, lovely person, is actually over the Fish for Kids program most summers. Yes, her name is Summer. She does a wonderful job coordinating everything with the assistance of several other helpful people. So I'll let you see what goes in the boxes. So we have an assembly line that we do, and we're going to be doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we will do the assembly line. We will have someone to make the sandwiches at the front of the table, someone to bag those sandwiches. Then they put a juice box in there, and there's a number. I don't know if you can see, but there's a number on each crate that tells you how many of each item will go in the bag. So this is a well-oiled machine. When I say that, I mean next Wednesday on May the 27th, when we get started, this room will be completely full. That's why we ask that you go online, you sign up to volunteer. We don't want to turn anyone away. We never want to turn anyone away. So we want everybody to have an opportunity to come help, to be able to go out and witness to our kids, tell them about the gospel and tell them about what God's doing in their life. So we really want everybody to be able to participate. So go online, and I'll give you that in just a minute. But back to the boxes. So here you'll have your juice boxes. Here you'll have your yogurt, and we'll have a number on there that tells you how many. Then it's not always applesauce, but this will go in the bag. Crackers, cookies, and then this is normally just goldfish or some other kind of chips. But as you can tell, the numbers are labeled. So when you get to the end of the table, we'll have a person at the end of the table that will tie the bags, put them in the crates that you see below. And after they're put in the crates, there are 15 bags in a crate. So after they're put in the crate, let's go over here. You'll see that we have different routes, and this is in each room here. Nowell gets 5 crates. Rose Ison gets 6 plus 8 bags. So everybody knows what to do in here. So once the crates are filled, at about 11 o'clock, folks start pulling through to load their cars. We have folks that work in here. Then we have volunteers that do the routes. And I believe if this is not filled, they do still need a route, a person to run a route. And you can check with Summer on details on that. So I don't have all the details on that, but right now we're sitting at 1,500 kids a day. That probably will increase after the program gets started and we start hearing about more and more kids that need a meal for the summer. So this happens every summer. It starts the week after school ends, and then it does not end until the week school begins. So if you want to volunteer, let me give you that information here. Just go online at www.fishofwalton.org/fish4kids. Sign up to volunteer. I would love to see you here. I'll be here on Mondays and Wednesdays helping. And if you have questions about it, you can always call me. You can call Cindy Little at Fish, or you can reach out to Summer. They're all available to answer your questions. And they do take groups. If you need credit at school or whatnot, just get in touch with them. But this is going to be a great summer, and we feel great about feeding the kids. So if you have any needs about anything else, please feel free to call us at the partnership at 770-207-3175. Thank you for watching.
Hopefully spoken to all of you at some point, but I am the Chief Strategy Officer at Team Up Mentoring, which just means I've been there for a long time and my title keeps getting longer. But the amazing thing is that when I was like, what am I going to talk to you guys about? I've told y'all the mission a bunch of times. I have talked to you about our needs, and there's always new needs, that kind of thing. But I then started typing my thoughts onto paper, and so I wrote something, which never happens. I am much better extemporaneous speaker than I am that, but it comes from the heart of who we are at Team Up and what has been going on now for 20 years at Team Up. So bear with me as I flip some pages today. But first, I just want to say thank you guys for having me here, for having us speak to you guys, not just here. You've come to our space, you've done so much, and to support our kids and our work for so many years in so many key and different ways. We really appreciate you guys and your commitment to that. This year is, our 20th year anniversary. We started our first pilot program after a year of our executive director fresh out of college doing research, going to pull community members in to have some key conversations with them, doing whatever she could to figure out what is the thing that is going to serve Monroe and Walton County the best. Now, Anna Blunt, who's our executive director, she was a biology major, and that's where she went down the research hole. She discovered back in 2005 the Adverse Childhood Experiences Trauma Study. This study had come out in 1996, I think, something like that. And when I started at Team Up in 2018, nobody knew what trauma was. Now you've probably heard about it, you've seen it in news articles, you've seen it in popular television. But when I thought about trauma, I thought about my favorite TV show when I was little, Rescue 911, where trauma meant, a physical trauma that happened. They were always bringing somebody on a gurney talking about trauma. So I was like, please, Anna, stop talking about trauma. Nobody knows what you're talking about. But it just so happened that Team Up was a leader in this trauma-informed world, because we completely made our programming around this need that she saw was there. And so as we're celebrating these 20 years, Team Up, we work with kids who are trauma survivors, not just trauma survivors, significant trauma. So they have had to experience abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction, like a parent in jail or somebody in their home who is suffering from mental illness or addiction, things like that. And they've had to experience significant amounts of it. Now, kids usually come into our program between 3 and 8 years old, which means they're trauma survivors at a very young age. And what we have learned is that trauma, this childhood trauma, can actually cause long-term health issues for people, making their lives shorter, making them more likely to suffer a heart attack, stroke. I know, I'm really have a bright spot right now, giving you guys the good news. But what we know is that trauma-informed care can help build resilience for children affected by trauma. And so that is what our program is all about. We work with kids starting at 3 years old, and we make up to an 18-year investment in that child, which means we're walking alongside of them for the long term, not through just one season or 1 year, but for a long time. I've watched 3-year-olds turn into 18-year-olds. Breaks my heart, but you know. And we've seen changes start to happen. And so when you do this kind of work, you start to see interesting things happen that isn't just with one child or one family. We start to see generational change happen. And when we talk about young people who are affected by trauma, what we know is that it affects far more than just their behavior. Like I said, it affects them physically, and it affects their emotional regulation, their learning, their mental health, the ways they begin to understand themselves, and the way they understand the world. So Team Up's work is really about creating consistent, safe, long-term relationships and environments that help children feel safe and to become resilient, how to help them overcome that trauma that they have already experienced. That is what we're all about. What we do it through the mentoring programs, we do it through our after school, we do it through our summer camp, we do it through family support, trauma-informed care. We do it through all of these different ways, but one thing that makes Team Up different is that we do it for the long haul. Because what we know is that healing, we know that growth, those things don't happen in a short amount of time, right? It happens in the long term, and it's something that continues to grow and grow. They happen through thousands of tiny moments of consistency, of trust, of encouragement, accountability, and connection. And over the last 20 years, we've realized something that's really, really, really important. Generational change doesn't always have to happen loudly. And often it doesn't, you can barely hear it at all. Sometimes it happens slowly, relationally, in ways you don't fully notice until many, many years later. Of course, we see that in our children and families. We see children who learn how to regulate emotionally. Y'all would not believe when you see a 5th grade boy start to do some breathing exercises when he's about to flip out. It's like, wait a second, did that just happen? But we also see them building confidence. We see them finding safe adults, discovering that school can actually be a safe place for them. We have right now 4 kids who are going to another summer camp where they are leaders leading other teens in substance abuse prevention, teaching them about substance abuse prevention. These are 4 kids who have family histories of substance abuse and many other kids. They're there teaching other kids of how do we prevent this? How can we make a difference? And these are kids you would never expect. Kids that are on the spectrum, kids that are coming from really difficult situations. And they've now stepped into these leadership positions, which is amazing. We also see families gaining support. They're able to have tools that help them have stability and other resources. But we've also seen other people make changes, not just our kids and our families, namely our mentors. Many of our mentors come from completely different backgrounds than the kids that they're working with and the families that they're working with. Their paths might not have actually ever crossed had it been not for Team Up, right? The cool thing is when you bring these people together, we start to see barriers soften and assumptions just kind of go out the window. I've had a child who looked at me and said, "You really like to listen to emo music, don't you?" I was like, "Why do you think that?" What assumption is there? It's true, but we don't have to talk about that. But people begin to truly know one another because of Team Up. The relationships that we see, we have gentlemen and women your age in our Teen Leadership Academy, which when they all first started coming, I was like, how is this gonna work out? I don't know. The mentors aren't just mentoring, they're getting mentored. and the relationships that they're building aren't just a one-way street. Those relationships are ones where the adults see the young kids, and the young kids see the adults, and they feel seen by the adults, which is huge. It changes how we all think about one another and how our community thinks about one another. So many of the things that happen that we see with our mentors is that they come out saying, I've been changed. And then they also don't leave. We can't get them to leave. I'm just kidding. We love them. We're very thankful for them. But we also have another group. There are program facilitators. These are usually high school, college, young adult age people who actually come to work with Team Up. So this summer we're going to have about 20 program facilitators who are going to be working with our elementary and our Teen Leadership Academy. So the interesting thing is I've had to apologize not to one, not to two, but to 3 different parents of these program facilitators, because these program facilitators go home and are like, hey, I'm changing my major after working at Team Up, which is amazing. It's really cool to see them learn that. They're learning trauma-informed care, how to facilitate, but above all, they're learning these really important relationships. I love that they're going to be going home or going into the future and taking what they learned here into the businesses, into their own families, into whatever they want to do when they grow up. They're taking this information with them.
Hello, I'm Kenny Sargent with Keep Walton Beautiful and the Walton County Recycling Center. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Also wanted to take a minute to recognize the city of Walnut Grove, and in particular Walnut Grove Elementary. Saturday, April 25th, they held their second annual Recycling in the City Day. And I really just wanted to make sure that I recognize them. This was an event that was created and thought out by a Walnut Grove Elementary third grader last year, and so now we were into our second annual event, and it's something they've kind of grabbed a hold to and really ran with. And really excited about the future of what we're going to be doing there. And also wanted to use it as a time to invite any other schools that are looking for a way to do an event like this, a recycling day, or some kind of environmental education day through the school. Keep Walton Beautiful would love to partner with you to put something like that on to help you start a recycling program in the school. If any of you teachers or any other civic organizations out there are looking for something like that, please give us a call here at the Recycling Center, 770-267-1421. And again, just wanted to thank Walnut Grove Elementary and the city of Walnut Grove for a great event, and I look forward to partnering with you in the future. Also wanted to make everyone aware we are having a shredding event in the city of Loganville on Saturday, May the 9th. It's from 9 to 11 there at the City Hall in Loganville. If you've got any old documents that you'd like to get rid of, feel free to come out on that day and we'll get those taken care of properly for you. We are looking at scheduling a shredding event here at the Recycling Center in Monroe. That date hasn't been set yet. At this point, they're pretty booked up, so we may be looking late summer, very late summer, or very early fall at the latest. So I will keep you posted on that going forward. I also wanted to remind you that yard waste can't be brought here. We can't accept it. It can't go to the landfill we use. There are 2 other inert landfills in the county. We would be more than happy to direct you to the one nearest to you. But we're having a ton of limbs and grass clippings and trees brought in right now. and we simply can't take it, and we're having to turn people around, and we never like doing that. So going to try to catch everyone on the front end to avoid that happening. And like I always do, if you've never been out to the recycling center, come out, let us show you around, help you get started recycling. We can answer any environmental questions you have. Come out and see us. Give us a call. Again, our number is 770-267-1421. Be happy to talk to you and help you out in any way we can. Until next time, take care.
Hi, I'm Jody Johnson here with another recreation report. School is about to get out. We're here in kind of the middle of May. It's always a busy time for a lot of families with graduations and into the school year and vacations coming up. We don't want you to forget about your neighborhood parks. We have them at the Grove. The splash pad's about to open here in the middle of May with a couple of pavilions there. Nice pavilions at the Grove, and all over the parks that we have nice places for you to have your reunions, your birthday parties, great playgrounds. So go on our website or go to one of our community centers if you want to reserve one of those pavilions. It's really a busy time for our department to get all those things in order for everybody to have it organized and clean, and that's what we want to provide for you here at the Recreation Department. Our summer and our fall registration is going on. I know we're thinking spring right now, but this is the time we start registering for all of our fall sports, and just registering now through around May 15th, and that's for your football and your cheerleading, fall baseball, softball, volleyball, soccer, cross country, all those sports all at one time. I think we have 8 different programs going on in the fall. It's our busiest time of the year, and we're spread out all over the county. Again, which usually with some of those team sports, we do organize those teams in the park that you want, and then we usually play some type of county-wide schedule to make it a little more convenient, where you practice and play most of your home games, and then you may play a game or two at a different park just to get a different aspect or a different team you're going to get to play against. So again, a lot of programs going on. Pickleball is really booming these days. We have the courts at Criswell Park. We have the courts out at, there's some down at South Walton. We have the ones at Ayers Park there next to the splash pad. We have 12 there. We have several different tournaments that are going to get played at those parks, and we have little marquee boards. So stop by and check one of those out, and you can see where a fundraising tournament or two may be going on at different locations. We are in the construction phase at Meridian Park, where we're going to build 12 more pickleball courts. Seems like each city wants their own, and it is nice to have that, for families to go out and find one. If you get to one park and you go, my goodness, this one's just overly crowded, you can go 7 or 8 miles down the road and find another one that maybe not as crowded. Most of them have lights that we keep them open till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and then the timer will go off, and then you can't utilize them afterwards. But on these hot summer nights when it's just too hot at 6 o'clock to go out there and play, you can wait till just after dark and go out there and play a little bit and get that exercise that we all need. So make sure you go to our website at waltoncountyga.gov. Has all our information about registrations and the amenities at the parks. If it's just too hot, go into our community centers where we have those full workout areas, all the Nihilus equipment. We've got a lot of areas to go to. Now we have 4 different locations, and if you become a member of one, you're a member of them all. So that means you can, if they have different, they're mostly the same, but there's a few little different changes. Like Walnut Grove doesn't have an indoor walking track, where Felker and Meridian South Walton do, and then a couple of different pieces where some have some free weight equipment, meaning the weights that you can move around, not the Nihilus equipment. So most of the other 3 have it, and that's something that Walnut Grove doesn't have yet. So just check out the facility you like the most, and maybe you like the outdoor amenities that go along with this park. But check out our website and come see us at the parks. So until next time, thank you very much.
Today on Feed the Goats, we're going to try some Lance crackers, peanut butter crackers that have gone out of date. So Let's see what the goats do with these. Let's see here. Let's see, Sophie, you like you like peanut butter cracker. You like peanut butter cracker? How do you like peanut butter cracker? Oh, you like peanut butter cracker. Both of you like it. You don't care if they're 7 or 8 months out of date. You'll eat them anyway, right? Dropped it here. Let's see. Let's open this pack up and see. Y'all just don't care if they're out of date. They seem to really like their peanut butter crackers. So remember, if you've got some peanut butter crackers that are out of date, you can always take them to some goats and they'll like them, won't they? Yeah, you like the peanut butter crackers. Okay, bye-bye, girls. This is Paul Mullins on Feed the Goats.
Susie Payne. I was wonderfully invited to come and meet with y'all today and talk to you about something near and dear to my heart. But after being a nurse for 50 years this June, everything's kind of near and dear to my heart. So this is one of the things I've lived through myself. We're going to talk about dementia versus Alzheimer's and some of the new treatments and signs and caregiving and that kind of thing. So I'm on my way over here today. A lady stops me. I'm a nurse at Piedmont, and they have put a educator position in my office is at the YMCA. So I'm leaving the YMCA, and this lady that's working out says, "Hey, do you remember me?" What do y'all say when somebody says that? Yeah. Yes, how have you been doing? And so then what do you say? How's your mom and them? And then they say, well, she died 20 years ago, you know. And you're like, oh, that's right. So this is why this is near and dear to my heart, because I don't know which one I have. But I have something, I'm sure. So we'll get started here. Is that you flashing it or me? I got the big red button going. There we go. So that's kind of small. Sorry. Dementia is a broad term. And look, I am old school and I like to draw. So here's your umbrella. Okay. This much of this umbrella is Alzheimer's. Okay. There are 3 other reasons that you have dementia. So not all dementia is Alzheimer's, and not all, but all Alzheimer's is a type of dementia. Dementia is just a bunch of symptoms that we'll get into in a minute. You have vascular issues that will clog your arteries, and you can have strokes, but it also will affect your memory and all that. So that's a type of dementia if you have vascular issues. Another one is called Lewy body. This is the type of dementia that some people have that have those vivid hallucinations. I was riding in the car with my dad driving, and he just, oh my God, stop. You're going to hit those kids in the middle of the road. Well, I must have just ran right on over him because I didn't see him. But he could see things. He could see trees flying up to heaven in vivid colors. And so they have very vivid visual hallucinations. And the last type is called frontal temporal. These get a lot of notice because they are the behavioral type. They get aggressive. They get very agitated. And that's because the part of their brain that's affected is your personality part, your frontal lobe. So that's why they get agitated and their personality changes. And your grandma will say things she never said in her life when she knew who she was, but now she will. And that sometimes gets us upset, but she doesn't know what she's doing, so we can't blame them. Questions about any of that? All right, so next, I'm going to try the slide now. There we go. Why does Alzheimer's occur? So Alzheimer's, your brain makes what they call amyloid. Everybody's does. Okay? But as we get older, things start changing. In case you didn't know that, I was here to tell you that, in case you hadn't figured that out yet. Getting old is not for the faint of heart. Let me just say that. So these are proteins that your brain produces. Normally, you get rid of those proteins. As we age, they start getting a little stickier and a little stickier. Then they start clumping. And what these does, you have a brain cell, and they clump around it, and so that brain cell can't communicate with other brain cells. So it starts blocking some of your thoughts, some of your processing, some of your decision making. And then these clumps turn into plaque. Now, where have you heard that phrase before? Where up? Your heart, your carotid, in your neck. So all of your vessels can have plaque in them for a lot of different reasons, usually cholesterol. There's a tear in its scar tissue. So when all these clumps start getting together and make plaque, that's blocking now your blood flow to that part of your brain. So this is what Alzheimer's is from, okay? So what are we gonna do about it? I think we all have heard the symptoms. It's where you have a difficult time remembering, a difficult time thinking, problem solving. It can be mild to major, and we all know that. And it does progress, and you end up forgetting to eat, usually is the last step of this. So what can we do about it? The treatments are coming, these are just now being approved by the FDA, several of them. And we're going to target the amyloid proteins. They have 2 new medicines that go to your brain, and they help you get rid of those amyloids so it doesn't clump and it doesn't cause plaque. It also targets the existing plaque you already have. Both these amyloids continue to build up, so it's an ongoing process, so you keep taking the medicine. Early treatment is critical. Well, to early treat, you have to know what you're dealing with. So here's some early signs of what you're dealing with. And we're gonna go, the next slide's gonna show you why you don't have this, but we're gonna do the 10 signs of Alzheimer's right now. Memory loss that disrupts your daily life. Everybody wants to raise their hand that we have memory loss, right? Challenges in planning or solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks, confusion with time or place, trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships, new problems with words and speaking or writing, misplacing things, that's me all over, and losing the ability to retrace your steps, decreased or poor judgment, according to my daughter, I have that one. Withdrawal from work or social activities, changes in mood and personality. So when you go to the next slide, should you worry? So here's the differences in our natural getting older and Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's, poor judgment and decision making. Well, we all can make a bad decision, and it's once in a while. It's not consistently every decision's a bad decision. People have a right to make a bad decision. It may not be what you want for them, but it can be a bad decision. Alzheimer's, inability to manage a budget. But what we do is sometimes miss a payment, or we're late on a payment, or can't balance, or we thought we had more money, but it's not every day. Losing track of the date or the season, all of us have done that, but forgetting what day it is and then remembering it later. Most of us can say, oh, is this Wednesday? No, it's Thursday. We can bring that to our mind. Alzheimer people usually cannot. They have a really bad time with seasons. You have to say, there's the Christmas tree, what season is it? And sometimes they'll get it and sometimes they won't. Have difficulty having a conversation. Sometimes I have a hard time, as you just saw, trying to remember which word I want to use. Or how many of you have forgotten somebody's name, and the lady I just met at the Y, I'm going to remember her name at 2:30 in the morning. And it's going to wake me up, and I'm going to say, gosh, that was Elizabeth. And then I'm going to remember her mother died 20 years ago, and I'll bring all that back up. Alzheimer people don't even know they don't know. So they don't remember it later. Misplacing things and being unable to retrace your steps. Losing things from time to time. Now the time to time is interesting because I lose my phone once a day. I don't know if that counts as time to time or if I'm really starting to worry over here. My keys I keep up with, the phone I don't. And they finally told me how on my watch I can do this little, and find my phone. And I thought that was brilliant. I wish I'd known it about 5 years ago. And I could have saved a lot of time. All right, 10 healthy habits. This is how you make sure you don't go down that route. Protect your head. If you have a fall or a concussion or anything like that, you need to be checked out. Especially if you lost consciousness or had a hard lick or stitches, you hit your head hard enough that needs stitches, goose egg, those kind of things, because our brain is not as cushioned as young brains, so we don't have that ability to move when you hit. It's a counter coup. When you hit your head, your brain goes doop, doop, doop. Usually, ours kind of goes. So we need to check it out. Be smoke free. Now I sound like I'm preaching up here, don't I? That's true about every disease: diabetes, lung problems, stomach problems, intestinal problems. Everything is worse with nicotine, or, as we're trying to tell the young people, vaping is worse than nicotine. So if you need me to talk to your grandkids about that, I'll be glad to. Challenge your mind. Try to do something new, or if you're a puzzle worker, or if you do Sudoku, or you do games, all that is great for your mind. So when your wife says, put the tablet up, you've been on that game for 4 hours, you say, I'm just trying to challenge my mind. And then when you still get in trouble, you can say, Susie said, I need to challenge my mind. So a lot of people use my name, so go right ahead. Control your blood pressure. So make sure you're checking your blood pressure. If you're on blood pressure medicine, make sure it's working. You don't want too much or too little, and you want it to stay consistent. Your body does not want it to go high and then all of a sudden next day go low, and I won't take my pill today and then it's back high. So just try to be consistent, try to control it. Stay in school. How many are enrolled in school right now? What? It just means learn something, keep learning something, take up a new hobby, something that you have to build some memory muscle with your brain, so you know it's still working. I just got a new car. That's learning something these days. And it's a hybrid, which I don't even understand. I just know I bought it the day before gas went to $4. And I was proud of God for leading me to that. But it's got all kind of stuff showing up there that I have no clue about. And how many women in here have ever read an owner's manual of a car? Because I never have. You did?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. Can you read mine and teach me?
I don't know. I have enough trouble interpreting mine.
Oh, okay. Well, they got those videos and stuff, but you can't watch them going down the road, so I don't know. And when I get in the house, I don't remember that I don't know what's going on with the car, and I don't want to watch that video. So I'm kind of talking myself into Alzheimer's, aren't I? Eat right. That means kind of healthy, you know. We are in the stroke belt for the nation. Across the state of Georgia, Atlanta, so it's like Douglasville over to Augusta. It said everybody in the nation that does stroke studies says Atlanta is the belt buckle of the belt, because we have a lot of rural areas that don't have as much health care, or if I'm in downtown Atlanta having a stroke and I go to Piedmont, Atlanta, they're going to be able to get me where I need to be, an x-ray, and they're going to be able to get that clot out of my brain or do whatever, or stop the bleed or whatever in a shorter amount of time than going out from, what's it, a small town? Oh, Monroe. And you go to this hospital and we get you started on clot busters, but then we have to get you transferred, and that does take a little bit longer. So you want to make sure that you are eating right, because that contributes to your stroke risk, your risk of dementia, your risk of Alzheimer's. Manage your diabetes and other health issues. Diabetes is a big one, because diabetes affects your vascular system so much, and your kidneys and everything, and your eyes. People don't realize that, especially when you're young, and by young I mean 40, and you get it, because we just kind of think we can take the insulin and do whatever we want to. But you need to be very mindful of your sugars, and they have all those neat things for that. But every high sugar in your brain, it doesn't like it. So it will swell. So you want to make sure you're managing that. Get moving and keep moving. If you sit, you lose. It takes an average of, if you come to the hospital, say you broke your hip, and you're 75 or over, after 2 days, 48 hours, you will have lost 10% of your muscle mass from laying in the bed.
This is true.
Which is why those mean nurses come in there while you're hurting and say, get up out of the bed. And then y'all say words you shouldn't say in church and make them move. So it is very true, even at your age. And even if you're a little bit active, you want to make sure you don't go down. You don't want to stay down. You want to keep moving. If it's a walk, a lot of people walk their dogs. Just be careful, don't trip over them, because that's another hazard. Maintain a healthy weight. This is another one I love, because my definition of what's healthy for me may not be their definition. So just make up what you think it is and try to maintain it. And sleep well. I don't know. They should give the instructions with that one, because I don't know how many women in here have trouble sleeping, but I do. So it's kind of a hard one. Questions about any of those? Everybody okay? Anybody asleep? No, sleep now. We're going backwards here, sorry. The treatments that we kind of talked about have different ones for different categories. Agitation meds, those are some names of those. The anti-amyloid meds that's new, you may start seeing it on TV, the Kasuna. Cholesterol inhibitors. Cholesterol excites your brain, and you can't get thoughts through because there's so much cholesterol, cholesterol going through your brain, so we want to block some of that. Aricept is one of those. You probably have heard of that if you know anybody with Alzheimer's. And what it does is stop the cholinesterase and increases acetylcholine, and that helps your brain communicate better. And melatonin is something that causes brain cells to not become overexcited. No, to become overexcited. And it's a vicious cycle. That one has not quite been approved. It's in the last stages of the FDA for being approved for use in humans. So we don't take it yet. So a couple other things I wanted to talk about was things you can do something about and things you can't. Your age, can't do anything about it. Lifestyle, you can do something about. Genetics, can't do anything about it. Overall health, you can do something about it. So then, I want to talk a minute. Has anybody in here not dealt with somebody that had dementia or Alzheimer's? Okay, what are some of the things that you feel when you're around somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's?
You don't argue with them. You go along with whatever they say.
You don't argue with them because they're always right, just like your daughters are. Same thing. You don't argue with them. And who do you feel the sorriest for? I used to think it was the person with Alzheimer's, but they don't know that they don't know. The caregiver. So there are some things as a caregiver that you need to know if you're the caregiver, or that we need to know so we can help caregivers. And some of those are plan ahead, make sure everybody knows expectations. Like you know, if we're going to Uber somewhere or we're going to the grocery store, you still want to tell the person with Alzheimer's what we're going to do. And the more you can tell them, the more they can try to comprehend and work with you. Sometimes it does make them become agitated, so go to the grocery store the next day. Just, you have to go with the flow, and that's very tiring, especially if you're a grade A personality or A plus personality, because I'm never just an A, I'm always A plus, and you have to be in control. These Alzheimer people are like, that's how they are. Make sure you communicate effectively, and that means with your family, with your doctors, and with your friends. If you need help, you need to ask. There are people, this whole group, there was somebody getting food for somebody that's in the emergency room. I appreciate the business, but I didn't want them to miss. But everybody here has that kind of Christian heart where you want to help out. So I tell people, please let me do something, because if you don't let me, I miss the blessing. God's got me there for a reason, and God's got me ready to help you so I can be blessed. So I'll tell people all the time, you're taking my blessing, so I'm going to do it anyway, because I need all the credit I can get in heaven. So God and I got that worked out. Reflect on your own capability. We'll have people at the hospital go, no, I'm going to take care of them at home. I don't need any help.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
2 days later, they're back in the emergency room because they don't know how to deal. There are some resources, but there's not a class. How to take care of Alzheimer's 101 or Alzheimer's for Dummies, or maybe I should write the book, I don't know. But you need to know what you're capable of, and you need, from the get-go, to accept help. There's a lot of agencies that do respite care where they'll come help you take care of them, in-home care, financial assistance. So there's a lot of resources available to these people. And sometimes it's where strong-willed women, I won't talk about the men because they just do what we tell them to do, and that's a good thing. But we think we can handle it, and that's what gets us in trouble, is because we are handling everything. Red flags. Know when you are overwhelmed. When you start snapping at them because they're not eating and you think they should eat, or you get really emotional, you need to step back. You need to let someone come while you go get your hair done or your nails done or walk around the block. With my dad, I would go up every Thursday and let my stepmom go play bridge with her family her friends that she'd been doing for 40 years. So I would make sure she got her time. And then on every other Friday, we'd have to have hair day. So I go up there and keep them for hair day. And I've got the cutest picture of me and my granddaughter, and we're taking him out to eat, my dad out to eat, and she's got his hand helping him across the parking lot at Zaxby's. And he has no more clue who she is or who I am, but he's proud to be going to eat at Zaxby's. So, I made a picture and put it on the wall so my granddaughter can remember how she helped out. And it's just precious that we get to pass that on. Make sure you make the ask. Make sure you ask for help. And what we did is I got a caregiver in 4 hours a week to help bathing and all. And this little lady would cook enough for Thanksgiving and put it in their freezer. And then you got to remember it's in the freezer. And they had a to-do list. The caregiver said, make me a to-do list. And that woman was ironing and doing clothes. And when my dad died, I'm like, can I hire? Do I have to have Alzheimer's? Are you available? So it was great. And a lot of that's paid for. Medicare will pay for some of that. They'll pay for some of the duties, especially if it's medically necessary. So make sure you look at all that and talk to your doctor. Let's talk about that for a second. When you go to the doctor's office, tell him Susie said he's got to sit down and listen to you. He can't be in there less than 30 seconds and know what's going on with you. So tell him I said you got to sit down and listen. Have your questions written down. Have your notes. make sure you get answers to everything you need to have answers for. It's your responsibility to talk up for you or someone else in your family and make sure that everything that can be done will be done. It's not 1956 anymore where the doctor comes in and you trust and believe everything he says, because he used to sit down and tell you what was going on. At the hospital, I'll go talk to someone and say, you know, you have heart failure because your heart's only beating about 30%. It should be beating 60% and they'll be like, well, my doctor never told me that. I say, well, why are you taking Lasix? Because my legs swell. Well, why'd the doctor say your legs swell? Well, he didn't tell me. He just told me to take the Lasix. Well, your legs are swelling because your heart's not pumping right. So they do not educate the way they should, in my opinion, as far as making sure you know why you're taking your medications and what you can do. A lot of people with congestive heart failure can hold it at bay if they know what they're dealing with. I had one guy, he kept coming back to the hospital, and I was sitting in church and this one Sunday, and I was like, I don't know why these people keep coming back to my hospital. It's a great hospital, but you know. And God said, ask them. And I told God, I said, I know why they come back. They're non-compliant. They won't do what I tell them to do, blah, 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 blah. And God said, well, just ask them. So Monday morning, I was going to show God up, like I often try to do. And I went to his room. I sat down and said, okay, you've been here 6 times in 3 months. Something's going on. What's not right? And he goes, well, I don't know. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, okay, sure you are, you know. So I said, well, let's talk about it. Where do you live? Well, I live in my son's garage. It's made into an apartment. Okay. You got a bathroom there? Yeah, we got a nice bathroom. Okay. What do you eat? He goes, well, I make my food. I said, well, what do you make? He goes, well, I just have a mini fridge and a hot plate. So I eat a lot of soup and lunch meat sandwiches. Ding, ding, ding. He had no idea the cycle of eating all that processed meat, bread, and sodium was having on his heart. So I told God, I said, well, that's one for you. Just one for you. Let me go to the next one. So I go to the next one. And, you know, you've been coming, you've been here 8 times in 4 months. What's going on? Nothing? You taking your medicine? Of course I am. Okay, well, tell me about your day. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, well, when do you take your Lasix? She goes, well, it depends. I said, okay, what does it depend on? Well, you know, I'm upstairs in my sister's house. There's no bathroom up there, so if they're out watching TV in the living room, I don't take my Lasix that night because I don't want to have to traipse through there to go to the bathroom. Well, how often is that you don't take your Lasix? Well, it's usually like Thursday through Monday. I don't take it because they're home. So we got her a little bedside commode and everything was fixed. I talked to the sister. She took her Lasix. She hadn't been back in 6 months to the hospital.
Wow.
And all that told me was God's always right, which I already kind of knew. But you need to have people that stand up for you. You need to know what you need to know to take care of yourself. So when he said, well, we need to prescribe a new medicine for you, you need to ask, do I really need it? What's it for? How much is it? How long do I have to take it? Okay?
And what are the side effects?
Well, I can tell you all those. Any commercial can tell you all those. Nausea, vomiting, headache, eyesight, bad, stomach problems, can't urinate, can't have bowel movement, can't walk, and then you may die. That's about it. They kind of canned them all together there, so you can't sue for anything. But you're right, there are, like, there's a couple that if you put them together, it's low blood pressure. Well, your heart doctor gave you this one and your primary care gave you this one, and neither one of them looked at your meds, and now you're in my emergency room with low blood pressure because nobody looked to see that they counteract each other and drop your blood pressure. Two other things: set boundaries, on yourself, that you're not, there's so many caregivers that are caregivers, and then the next door neighbor's sick, and now you're trying to take care of your spouse that has Alzheimer's and the next door neighbor. And then across the street neighbor has the flu and you want to cook something for her. Know what you can do and don't overstretch yourself, because then it's just going to wear you out. And I tell people all the time, you need to go home and rest because you're going to need it. I've got this here, so you go home and rest. So know your boundaries. And last but not least, it is a mental and emotional strain. If you need someone to talk to, pastors, therapists, somebody, and a lot of times it's just getting it off your chest, you feel better. Or you're struggling, and then there's somebody that's already been through it, and all you have to do is ask, and they can help you and tell you what worked for them. So make sure you ask. We're trying to start a support group. There's one in Loganville already, and I can get you information about that if you're a caregiver of anybody with dementia or Alzheimer's. And it's a very active group, and they all come together and say, this happened this week, what can I do? And they help each other out. So I'm sure y'all are much too young to have Alzheimer's or dementia, but when y'all age a little bit and need a support group, we can do that. All right, any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
How do you deal with a family member who will not recognize and argue with you that their parent, relative has dementia or Alzheimer's? How do you deal with that?
I just very calmly make my case that what I'm seeing is, they've stopped eating, they shuffle, they don't know who you are. A lot of times, this was my dad, I didn't know it for about 6 months, because he would say something and I'd say, do you know who I am? He goes, of course I know who you are. Mm-hmm. And when I finally said, what's my name? Is when I figured out he didn't know my name. So it's those kind of questions you need to ask. So say, hey, they didn't know my name. They didn't know your name. Ask them who your daughter is and see if they know the name. And then say, there's medicine that can help. Why don't you get them checked and see? It'd be better to treat it than not. And then people have the right to make a bad decision, even about their own family. So that's a hard situation. Prayer works.
Amen.
All right. Anything else? Well, it's been my privilege. There are 2 people here that I went to church with and that raised my daughter, who's years old now. But don't believe a word they say about me, because it's not true. Because they would say I'm very sweet, and I'm really not. So. But thank y'all so much. Thank you so much. There's information up here on Piedmont Doctors and Piedmont Hospital. If y'all want some, I left it up here on the table. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susie.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you speaking to us today. And I would like to ask before we leave, just we've got a bereavement meal here about 3 o'clock. If y'all would help us tidy up just a little bit around your tables too, as you get ready to leave, I'd appreciate that very much.
There's just something about music that stirs the soul, makes us crank it, let go and come alive. This is what makes life, right? Yet what if too much of a good thing today could make us miss out on life tomorrow? 1 in 5 American teenagers now has some type of hearing loss. Loud noise is the most common cause. And these days, we're plugged in louder and longer than ever. Let's hear for life. Turn the volume down.
Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.